Hey everybody, Ben Nelson, the everyday real estate investor here. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the show. And I'm excited about today's episode. I'm going to be super honest. This is a little bit winging it on this one. I do have a few notes that I'm gonna look back on and just to kind of keep on track as best as I can. But I may throw out some other thoughts that just kind of pop in there, just to kind of share some of the things that I have learned and observed over the last 2 weeks. And a lot of these things are things that we know, things that I know, but they're kind of the part of the foundation of what you need to have mentally for being successful in life. And a lot of this comes from the last couple weeks. This is going to be a couple weeks ago once this actually airs, but was gone for almost 2 weeks for a couple of things. I was gone for a week with my two boys at scout camp and jumped right into a camping fishing trip with the family after that. So it's been a little a crazy trying to stay on top of everything going on with business and also be present in those activities. So that's always a challenge that we have to work through when we're entrepreneurs, when we're self-employed. Thank goodness for an amazing team that I'm starting to build. A great assistant, awesome colleague that can help step in and cover a lot of those things. Doesn't mean I didn't have to attend to anything. I did have to touch base, but a lot of those logistics. Again, thank you to a great team for stepping in and helping me be able to get away and get some time with my family. So I'm going to jump into a couple of these things here, and just again some observations from the last couple of weeks, just to remind us about a few different things that are key to success in business and in life. So let's get into it. So first week I was at Scout Camp, and so Scout Camp, if you're not familiar with Boy Scouts, it's you're outdoors the whole week. You're preparing your meals. You're working on those merit badges and achievements and ranking up and things like that. And so one of the great things that I've come to appreciate about Scouts is that it pushes you at a young age to do things that you are not maybe comfortable with. There's a big part of ranking up and certain merit badges that have to do with swimming. Well, not everybody loves swimming, right? But if you want to earn your ranks, you have to at least have some ability to pass some of these swim tests and things like that. Um, you know, Certain merit badges that you have to earn are going to push you to do things like, reach out to people in your community, get up in front of the group and talk. Right, some of the main fears that people have, with public speaking and with reaching out to people and talking to people they don't know. It's great because these are things that we as adults can struggle with if we don't get exposed to them early. And even if we do, a lot of times we have that maybe ongoing fear, but with that early experience, it helps us to get past that and learn how to do that, right? Uh, Being courageous, being brave is not being afraid, right? It's overcoming that and moving forward anyway. And so I had a really awesome opportunity to witness this firsthand with one of my sons, my younger son. He's 13, and kind of the content. So he was one of the badges he signed up for. I think just because his brother was doing it, which is totally fine, right? A little bit of positive peer pressure from his own older brother, but he signed up for horsemanship, which was a little bit surprising because back this was, gosh, 6 years ago, something like that, at a different camp, one of the different horse camps. um, he went on a horse ride. He was only 7 years old at the time, and one of the horses in front of him fell down, and his horse had to make like an evasive maneuver, and it freaked him out. Right, he's 7 years old. His horse is making this evasive maneuver to get around. Someone else had their horse had fallen down. They weren't hurt, but it was scary for him, right, as a little kid. And so that was what was in his head. And so now, 6 years later, this one experience is in his head, and so he's afraid, right? In First of all, I want to stop there and say this. we have experiences in life that we can choose to, learn the lesson and maybe figure out how to do things a little bit better, how to adjust, how to protect ourselves maybe from something that we didn't before, from a failure, from, something that we just didn't quite do right. Or we can totally avoid that situation moving forward, right? We see this all the time with people, they have a failed relationship. And so they're like, well, I'm just not going to let anybody get close to me, right? They have a negative experience like my son with their horses, and I'm never riding a horse again, right? Um, just all sorts of scenarios. Like you buy one property and it goes bad and you lose money, and I'm never buying a house again. I'm never buying investing in real estate. I'm done, right? And so it's really easy to take that experience and just say, this is what happens when you do this. When I get close to someone, I get hurt. When I ride a horse, I get freaked out and scared, or when I buy a house, I lose money. I don't know what I'm doing. All of these things, and we treat that as the rule instead of the exception. And we need to stop and set aside the emotion of those situations and really look at the reality of that and say, is this normal? Is this a normal thing to occur, or was this a one-off, right? Because if it's a one-off, then we can say, okay, that was the one-off, let's move on, right? um I would never get on an airplane again if I had an experience a long time ago. We had a bird strike, lost an engine. It was super scary. Okay, we had to make an emergency landing, all of that stuff. And you know I say, fortunately, I had to get back on an airplane to get back home, because it forced me to get back on that horse, right? So they say I had to right away, if I wanted to get home, unless I wanted to hop on a bus and take a couple days or something like that, I had to get back on the airplane the next morning. And it was the best thing for me. And yeah, I was freaked out, and it took me a few flights to, get back into the groove. But my mind was like, okay, I've experienced this, and this could happen again. Well, really, like, it's so rare for that to happen, right? You get on an airplane, it's very safe typically, right? There's things that happen, but it's very rare. So again, all that to say, we need to set those aside. We need to really look at it and just take the emotion out of it, um and say, is this normal, or is this the exception? And then how do I make sure to mitigate that moving forward? So okay, so back to the story. So um, he was freaked out, right? He's freaked out. I don't know why I signed up for this merit badge. Um, and as a dad, I'm like, I want you to do this. So I'm pushing a little bit. It actually cost extra for the merit badge. So I'm like, look, you told me you wanted to do it. You were standing right there when I paid extra for it. You got to at least do the parts that you can. And if I'm not going to force you to ride a horse, if you don't feel comfortable with that, I'm gonna encourage you to do that. But I'm trying to find that balance of pushing to get him to overcome this fear and get out of his comfort zone, and acknowledging that he had a bad experience, right? And so, you don't, if you push too hard, it's, they're just going to dig in their heels and everything. So um but what was really awesome, getting back to it, was that seeing that, so Thursday comes, they spend the first few days working on the logistics, the parts of the horse, the different, how do you shoe a horse, all the different pieces before, leading a horse, all the things that you have to do before you get to the riding part. So Thursday comes, we get to the riding portion. He's over there, he's gonna get his helmet on, he's lined up, and I'm like, this is great, he's gonna do it. And then he comes over, walks over to me, and sits down where I'm sitting, and he's like, I can't do it. Okay, well, let's talk about it. And we sat there, and he skipped the ride. Um, but what was awesome was, we were talking to another one of the scouts later that day, and we were talking about which merit badges they were going to get, which ones they weren't going to get, which ones they were going to get partials if you only completed some of the things. And I said something about my son getting only, he's going to get a partial in horsemanship. And he looks at me and he's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, you have to ride a horse to complete the merit badge, right?" So, and he's and it and so he had decided at that point that he was going to do it, and he was going to overcome this. Well, next day comes, it's Friday. This is our last day. last day to ride and finish his thing, finish his merit badge for horsemanship. And he is a mess. He's obviously scared. He's not wanting to get on the horse. These are big animals, right? And he's 13. He's not a very big 13-year-old, and so it's intimidating to come up to this big animal and to get on its back, right? So, um, but he very slowly, one step at a time, overcome one fear at a time. He walk up to the horse, put his hand on the horse, and then he eventually got on the horse while it was still tied up and sat there. And eventually, so, and again, as a parent, this is where, um, I want to help him. I'm there, right? But one of the other things kind of that I reminded myself of and learned in this process is I tend to be what's called a helicopter parent. I want to always be there. I'm there to help. I step in probably more than I should, right? Instead of letting them figure things out. And so I had to figure out that me being there to kind of encourage him was good, but at a certain point I had to step back and let the people that were leading the horsemanship badge, the people that knew the horses and knew how to handle the horses and the kids, um, I had to let them do it. That was their role. My role was to be there and support and encourage. My role was not to be the one to get him all the way through it, right? And so I think recognizing that as a leader, sometimes you have to, whether you're leading your kids, your family, a team, an organization, you have to be there. But sometimes stepping back is the best thing that you can do because it's going to make whoever you're stepping back from figure it out. And sometimes you need to let other people that are in a better position, that are better set up, and have the better knowledge and tools and ability to take that on. Let them take over, and that's their role, right? So when we try to be this all things to all people, it just doesn't work. You have to let other people step in and do their part, especially if they're better at it, right? And they were better at it. They knew how to do it, and um, the end of the by the end of the day, though, like what he was, so I stepped back and I let him work with the people that were with the horses. They kind of took him on a walk, slowly, just kind of leading the horse, getting used to it. He was obviously uncomfortable and a little scared. But eventually he warmed up just that one step at a time, right? And that's what overcoming fear a lot of times is like. You have to do, just, you don't have to go from, you know, not being afraid of the horse to galloping in one step. That's not what it's about, right? That's not how you overcome fear. It's that one step at a time, right? I'm going to pet the horse. I'm going to get on the horse. I'm going to be led on the horse. We're going to go on a short little walk. Then we're going to trot, right? It's one step at a time. And so pushing that comfort zone just a little bit to where you can gain that comfort and then continue to push that versus trying to go to this massive, it's like in real estate. If you're afraid to buy a house, because you have never bought an investment property before, um, trying to buy an apartment building is not going to work because mentally you're already afraid to do the smaller deal. It's going to be, with a few exceptions, it's going to be really difficult to overcome and move right into that, like buying an apartment building, right? So those baby steps are okay. Do something beyond your comfort zone that's a little smaller, and then continue those incremental steps in the direction that you want to go. Um, and so again, at the end of the day, he got on, he did the ride, they did their trotting, he finished his merit badge, and you know what? He learned a few things by doing that. He learned that the thing that he was afraid of, it was actually fun. He enjoyed the horses. He learned that it was fun to do the thing that he was afraid to do. He learned there was really nothing to worry about. That one freak thing that happened on the last ride, sure, things can happen, but it's not like that happens every time. It was totally fine. All of those fears, all those doubts, all those things that he had in his head they didn't happen, right? And that happens to us all the time. "Oh, what if this? What if that? What if, I do this and make a mistake?" Well, what if it goes fine, right? They say what 95% of what you have that you're afraid of never happens, right? So why spend the time worrying about it? Don't worry about it. Know that that's a possibility, but don't let it stop you from doing what it is that you need to do, that you want to do, that you're trying to achieve. Um, and the other thing is that good things are on the other side of that struggle, right? He struggled to get through this horsemanship merit badge, but what did he get on the other side? He succeeded, right? He overcame and succeeded, and he earned a merit badge that was difficult for him to earn because he was afraid. He learned to overcome fear, right? He also learned enjoyment in something that he would not have had enjoyment in if he wouldn't have pursued it, right? And he also, one of the biggest things is he gained confidence. He gained confidence in his ability to overcome. He gained just overall self-confidence. And that is a huge thing when we don't push ourselves and we stop because we're afraid or whatever, that when we don't pursue something, it kills our self-esteem, it kills our confidence. When we push ourselves and we do something and we overcome and we move beyond that fear, you gain confidence and you gain the ability to do the next thing. So pushing yourself over that fear, over that outside of that comfort zone, you're going to gain that confidence and you're going to be able to do even bigger things than you thought before. That one thing that you overcame is, you know what, that wasn't a big deal. Hey, I can do this. And you move on to the next thing with confidence, right? Okay, so that was a big long story all about my son overcoming this fear with merit badge, but I think there's a ton of great lessons in there that I hope you guys remember and can apply to your own life, to your own business, all of those things. The other big thing that I wanted to touch on with just kind of the whole process of earning merit badges is that really it's not hard. It's um, it's easy to not do it, but it's actually easy to do as well. And what it comes down to is a checklist of things that you have to do, and for ranking up and for merit badges, it's right there. There's a plan. You do these things, you get them signed off, and you rank up or you earn the merit badge, right? And I think it's so elementary, but it's so key in success in our own lives and in our business, that having a plan is so important, because without a plan, you don't know what to do. Like, how do I earn this? How do I earn my eagle? Right. Well, if there's no path to doing it, then you don't know. And so how do you know what to do next? And so having that list, having that plan in your business and whatever other aspects of your life, your health, whatever you're trying to achieve, is super important. And writing it down, having it be steps, having it be outlined in a way that's clear and concrete and easy to execute, right? And then actually executing on it and breaking it down. And there's a lot that needs to be done to earn a merit badge, but you know what, you can do one thing a week, right? Or you can do two things a week or whatever. Break that down. Don't get overwhelmed. That's with those big goals, it's really easy to get overwhelmed and say, wow, I want to, just bought a house. Now I want to become a syndicator and I want to raise capital and buy these apartment buildings. Okay, well, there's a lot of steps that need to happen in between then. So breaking it down is super important. And because then you can take these digestible tasks, these milestones and steps that need to happen, and you can plan it out and you can do one thing at a time. And eventually you'll be there, right? This big goal, this big um, end result that you want, uh, it's right. It's all broken down step by step, and so you know the next thing to do, right? And then on that same note, or on a similar note, you need to revisit that plan, right? Make sure you're on track. Make sure you didn't forget a step. Make sure that you understand what that next step is, so that you can stay on track for what it is you're trying to achieve. So, again, a great reminder of how do you be successful? You have a plan, you stick to the plan, and you move forward. Sometimes you have to adjust, right? I want to earn this merit badge within 2 months. Oh, well, I didn't do these things, or something came up, or whatever. That's fine. Adjust. but you know what needs to happen next. Okay, that was the first week of the last 2 weeks. The second one, I've only just got a couple things to touch on, but we jumped from there, came back Saturday afternoon, left Sunday morning for a family fishing and camping trip, annual trip. Another one that was difficult, just one of those firsts without a key family member that we lost earlier this year, but um, just lots of philosophical stuff rolling around in my head and just reminding me, um, as we're out there fishing. And a couple of the main things are, so you're out there, you're on this boat, and there's a lot to fishing that's really kind of consistent with um, what you do with business and marketing and gaining business and things like that. So stay with me here. So you're out there fishing, you've got your bait in the water, you are trolling along, you're trying to get that big catch, right? There's a lot of pieces that need to come into play to get that bite, to get that fish on the hook, right? You have to have the right bait. You have to be in the right place at the right time to when they're biting. There's the river's a big area. They could be on the other side of the river and or 30 feet away. And if you're not close enough to where they're not going to bite, right? Um, and it's a lot like putting yourself out there in marketing, right? You have to, when you're putting your proposition out there to the market, you have to be using the right bait. Um, Sometimes you have to hit people at the right time. You have to be consistent, right? And you have to be patient. And if something's not working, you swap it out, right? Hey, they're not biting on this today. Let's try something else, right? Um, and so, just a reminder that you got to be patient in your marketing and putting in. That's what we're doing. We're trolling for that prospect. We're trolling for that opportunity. We're trying to find that, and it takes time. It takes time. We're not out there, just um, jumping on the first thing that comes up, right? And we can't force opportunity necessarily. We can find opportunity, we can look for opportunity, but we always talk about you have to hit people at the right time and you have to cater things to their scenario, right? So, um, you know, again, it's putting things out there with the right bait, the right place and time, the right being consistent and being patient, uh, and that way, when they're ready to bite, uh, then they'll bite, right? And that's the other thing. Like maybe the fish aren't biting today. Maybe they're not hungry. Maybe they already ate, right? I don't know, but it's just not the right timing, right? But you stay consistent, you stay there the course, and you come back later in the day, or you come back the next day, and now they're biting, right? And it's the same again. It's the same thing. You may hit someone for a while, their situation's not right. Um, but maybe it will be in a month or a couple months or a year or 3 years. You don't know. If you give up, you're never going to make that catch. So be consistent. Use the right bait, change it up if it's not working overall, right? And just know that the right place and the right time is an important part to that, but you got to be consistent to be able to have that opportunity to hit them at the right time. Um, and then you can't control how others react, right? You can't control if the fish are biting or not, but you can control the things that you can control, right? You can control the bait. You can control, trying to find the spot where they are at. You can control a lot of those pieces. It doesn't mean they're necessarily going to bite more, but there are pieces you can control, and that's what you can focus on. Once you've done what you can do, it's up to the fish, right? So if you're doing the right things and you're getting your marketing out there, you're getting the right message out. If you know that that's the message that you should be putting out there, again, be patient and just know that they'll respond when they're ready. You can't control them responding, but you can control the things you're doing, which is consistency and the right message and being patient and all those things. So that was my big lesson from the and reminder from the fishing trip. Again, I hope these things are helpful to you. This is not necessarily a real estate episode, right? But these are life things. These are important for your overall business, your overall life success. overcoming those fears, knowing that on the other side there's confidence, there's enjoyment of something new that was maybe outside of your comfort zone before. Knowing that things that you are worrying about, such a small likelihood, right? Move forward. Don't be afraid of those things, and then being consistent, controlling the things you can control. Using the right bait, all those things that we learned from trolling around for fish and in the Columbia for salmon. So, again, hopefully this stuff has been helpful to you. I appreciate you guys. We've got some more awesome guests coming up. Hopefully you've enjoyed the last few. I know I have, and appreciate you guys being. That was why I missed an episode, actually. If you noticed that, no idea if you did or not, but I did miss an episode. First time that I missed an episode, and that was just because I was away, and I had some content prepared, just wasn't able to line it up with everything else going on, to make sure I got that out there in an effective way, and presenting the guest appropriately and all that stuff. And so I just kind of held off and decided to, what, we're going to miss a week, but I'd rather get it out there the right way. And sometimes things happen, right? Sometimes things happen. You try to be consistent as best as you can, and you miss a week once every 2 years, it's okay. So a little bit of giving myself a little bit of grace there. So appreciate you guys on the other end as well. So thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you tune in next week. We've got some great guests coming up on the next couple episodes. And until then, go out, overcome some of those fears, put your plans in place, and go out and make